what is your stance on the deregulation of utilities? Let's start down here with Ray.
Yes.
1 minute.
Going door to door, there's two issues that come up the most. Healthcare, we talked about that, and electricity rates. It is frankly time that we moved the clock back and re-regulated this industry the way it used to be. When we look, we're paying $60 a month more now than we were a year ago compared to April to April. And it keeps going up every year. It's been a disaster. And when we look at the comparisons to other provinces, some with public power, we're the highest in the country by far. Some of them pay us a third of what we do. And if you're in fixed incomes, or if you're a new family, you know, with an ordinary job, that's becoming a real problem for you. It's becoming a matter of affordability. And it could drive some seniors, we're talking about home care, could drive some seniors out of their houses if something isn't done. So that's, we would set that public commission, make it independent, and re-regulate the industry. It has to happen.
There's a good example of the injustice we face with electricity in our Liberal platform book. There are lots of copies available at the back. Because in November of 2010, TransAlta, which is a source of 16% of Alberta's commercial power, deliberately blocked imports of electricity from BC, creating an artificial shortage and higher prices. But even though the committee admitted doing wrong, their fine amounted to about 10% of the profits that they had made. So we need to have more oversight through market surveillance administrator to have more control over the system. I agree with Ray that this deregulated way of going about electricity is just terrible. It hurts us in the pocketbook.
It seems we all agree so far. The Alberta Party also feels that deregulation has not worked, and sometimes things are so obvious and so clear, it's like the nose on your face, and you really wonder why action hasn't been taken. So I think that's the first point that I'd like to make. Secondly, I think the Alberta Party is interested in moving into other sources of generation of electricity. Right now we're relying largely on coal-based electricity, and that's why there was a push for these huge transmission lines, which we are not convinced are needed truly. And more importantly, shouldn't we be moving into many different ways of generating electricity? Shouldn't we be diversifying our electricity so that we're not so held captive by one source? And I think there's a lot of ideas that we could bring into how we get our power, and I think we could start to lead the world in some of these developments.
Thank you, Sue. In March, there was a newsletter that I received, and we started, Premier Redford announced a committee that's currently looking at the regulated rate, and as it has been 10 years since it was deregulated. All the fees and the market modifiers have been frozen by all the utility companies while we look at that. We have also enabled individuals to have access to apply to plans, to apply for some of the plans where you can apply for a 5-year plan. So we are taking action in that regard. I know when I'm on the doorsteps, as well as I agree with all of my colleagues here, the conversation we're having about the electricity rates and the challenges of when it goes, payments go up and down. So I'm in support of looking at that, and we need to review that, and we are going to do that.
Well, electricity is a commodity just like everything else, just like natural gas. We see natural gas prices falling through the floor right now, and we're paying prices that we haven't seen in a decade. Electrical prices will go up, they will go down. What we want to make sure is that we don't put in needless transmission, because we all have to pay for those costs for generations. My 20-year-old son's electrical engineering, so I'm hoping he can solve all these problems for us. But we're getting improvements in energy uses. The things like LED lighting and stuff reduces the intensity or the amount of energy that we need to use. So as the demand goes down, prices should follow. We did have that one spike last month, and the rates were 14 cents a kilowatt hour. Now they're back down to more regular 7 or 8 cents on my last bill. But the prices are going to go up, prices go down, and hopefully we can use less of the electricity.